The DOD released the awaited UFO files, and people have had a lot of mixed feelings about it. So let's dive into it. While the e-files are still being discussed, and us as the American people are trying to figure out, is anyone going to do anything about it? There's been the UFO task force who has been trying to get all the UFO UAP files out. This is a task force that's made of both Republicans and Democrats fighting for transparency against the military-industrial complex's hold on this information. Lots of people are saying the same thing when David Grush's hearing in July of 23rd, 2023. All this talk about UFOs was just a distraction against whatever was going on. If everything is a distraction, you're not able to multitask the subject you're interested in. So when we talk about this subject, let's remember when we need to keep pressure on the e-files and everything that is hidden, remember we're pushing for government transparency and those that need to be held responsible. And we need to know the truth no matter what. And no matter what the government is holding, we need to know what that is. So we can multitask and do interested in two different subjects, right? Going back to the UFO files though, some were public documents and some were hoaxes mixed in. This was not a batch of carefully curated documents. These PDFs and images were a bundle. So we need to go through them just like we do with any type of other, supposed whistleblower or leak. We need to do our research in figuring out what is legit and what's not, right? So we have a lot of these PDFs. A good example is the ET being stood up. That was, a hoax, but they're still putting those public documents in related to UFOs. The FBI were probably trying to see, how people are being influenced. So we need to be aware of that. Especially this government, we can't fully trust what they say or do. They've been caught multiple times lying about either the e-files or other stuff that was going on. Now, for me personally, the files that were showed and were interesting were the images and audio from NASA. I found those really, really credible. That was cool to see that, and we'll have to see what else is released. Lots of pieces of the footage were orbs or different shapes craft being tracked by weapons platforms or planes. This wasn't anything really new that we've not seen in the public space. And was this going to be the last drop of the UFO files? No. They're going to be releasing a lot more, so we'll have to see what comes out of the administration and this task force that they're trying to get all these different files released. And then we can vet it, right? We still have to do that research. We still have to do that work. Also, for those are not aware as well, there's been information released that talks about AI systems that go through and delete any mentions of interesting UAP encounters by military. And they silo it into in the shadows, wherever that goes. In the 2004 Nimitz Tic Tac encounter, data from onboard was deleted, even the Admiral's systems in this email chain. It was all gone. So we can't trust that all these files of the DOD is going to be the best or even the baseline of what the military are encountering, right? So we need to be very aware of that. Another subject I did want to bring up was about the evangelical pastors that were pulled into a private meeting with government people to get ahead of disclosure. Apparently there was a debrief and they had been listened to by some pastors. I was able to listen to one of the pastors who were in that meeting, and it was interesting, but it was from an evangelical point of view. Now, of those who are not aware, right, especially being Western American Christian focused, unless you're Mormon, you're going to believe that these are demons or Nephilim, or these are end times. There's no if, buts, and ways. I was evangelical for 14 years. I understand this. And is the information they're actually going to be talking about going to be relevant to the topic? Probably not. Don't hold your breath. Evangelical pastors are going to approach this in a modern Judeo-Christian end times thinking, which they're automatically going to go to demons, Nephilim, deception. This is part of the Great Deception. That's going to be their perspective. We know that the phenomenon is a lot more complex than that. Prime example, and I know that people are probably already typing in this video. Well, what about the cases that people invoke Jesus and they go away in contactee or abductee encounters? This is not all the information, right? We have interviewed people that are in the church, that are researchers, that are investigators. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes they're like, we don't care. And they keep doing the encounter. So does that mean that these are automatically demons. No, it's not. It's more complex than this. We have to remember Christian perspective, modern day perspective, is diluted information from previous belief systems. We know that demons and angels are good, bad, black, white mindset thinking of this whole idea that there's a good side and a bad side, right? We have to get beyond that perspective to understand the environment we are in. There's a much more complex phenomenon that people assume is, and that assume it is simple. It just really isn't. I ask those who are serious about the subject to do more deep diving. We have to approach the subject and understand this is a multi-faced, complex environment in reality. That this is a personal and dynamic to the person that it's interacting with. And many who have read Jacques Vallée's work, I wanted to leave this quote in this book, and I still think about. Passport to Mongolia, 1969. Perhaps we should try to understand what these tales, these myths, these legends are doing to us. What images are they designed to convey? What hidden needs are they fulfilling? Is this a fabrication? Why should it be so absurd? Are these presents in history? Could imagination be a stronger force to shape the actions of men than its expression in dogma, in political structures, in established churches, in armies? If so, could this force be used? Is it being used? Is there a science of deception at work here in a grand scale? How could human minds generate its own phantoms in a formidable collective creation mythology? Quote, man's imagination, like every other power, works with fixed laws. These words by Hartland, written in 1891, offer a clue. Yes, there is a deep undercurrent to be discovered, mapped behind these seemingly absurd stories, emerging sections of an underlying pattern that have been discovered, mapped in ages past by long-dead scholars. Today, we have this unique opportunity to witness the reoccurrence of this event, out in the open, colored, naturally with our new human biases, our preoccupations with science, our longing for the promised land of other planets. A new mythology was needed to bridge the stupendous gap between the meaningless present, and they are providing it. But what are they? Real beings or the ghosts of our own dreams? They speak to us in smooth English. They do not speak to our scientists. They do not send sophisticated signals to uniquely decipherable codes as any well-developed alien should before darting to penetrate our solar system. No, they picked Gary Wilcox instead, and Joe Simonton, and Maurice Moss. What do they say? They say they're from Mars. They say they're our neighbors, and above all, that they are superior to us, that we must obey them, and that they were good. Go to Valensol and ask Moss. He will tell you, perhaps, as he told me, how puzzled he was that they suddenly, without warning, he felt himself a warm, comforting feeling. How good they were. They were our neighbors, the good people. They took a great interest in the affairs of men and always stood for justice and right. They could appear in different forms. With then Joe Simonton exchanged food. In times gone by, did Irishmen who talked to similar beings. In those days, too, they were called the good people in Scotland, the good neighbors, the Slí Nath. Which did they say then? That we are far superior to you. We could cut off half the human race. But does that make sense? They were facts that were missed back then, without which we could ever piece the UFO jigsaw together. Priests and scholars left books across the time of their concern about these beings. These beings had been found, collected, studied, and together these stories present a coherent picture of appearance, the organization, the methods of our strange visitors. The appearance was, does it surprise you? Exactly of UFO pilots today. The methods were the same. There were sun visual bright houses at night, houses that could fly, that contained particular lamps, radiant light that needed no fuel. The creatures could paralyze their witnesses and translate them through time. They hunted animals and took away people. In the Magic Casement, a book, In 1910, I find this little poem, William Alden, very interesting. Up the airy mountain, down the rushy glen, we dare not go hunting for fear of little men. We folk, good folk, trooping all together, green jacket, red cap, and white owl's feather. Down along the rushy shore, some make their home. They live on crispy pancakes of yellow tide foam. Some in the reeds of the black mountain lake, with frogs as their watchdogs, all night awake. Remember, everyone, keep curious, and also, this phenomenon is personal. It will keep interacting with us. Disclosure is with us, not the government. That's what they say. The phenomenon will continue to unfold with us.